You gotta start the show.
Okay, I have to introduce the whole thing now. This is Grindstone.
Who that? Say they want to do that. Run up if you will. Get your ass with blue black straight out of my field. Straight out the curb. The jam preserved. Nothing but balls in my word. And the Mossberg pistol grip pump in my lap at all times. Whatever, however, because young folks still dying. Holla about, huh? Nigga, what? Nigga, huh? Give a fuck, nigga, what? Full of that weed. Played it like a poppy seed. I slayed it in and chaining up a nigga named Young Bleed Corleone. In the murder with him, up a member box for months and days. Tripping off the blunts we blaze, hell of a high. Telling them why, I'ma never say die. You see it in my eye. And people say I fly like an eagle. See no evil eye. Belling in the dough, sipping natural. Wicked, but y'all don't hear me though. See how they running everything on the cool, but you know I'm finna act a fool in this motherfucking fools. Holla how you do that there. Florida to Arkansas, we don't care. You fuck niggas how you do that there. DC to Virginia, baby, we don't care. Holla how you do that there. You know, for a good one. What do they do? Oops. What do they do? They holla how you do that there. Man, moment of silence for Young Bleed. Young Bleed, 1998, was really impressive and a beautiful addition to my music collection, man. For those of y'all who don't know who Young Bleed is a very recent ancestor to the hip hop community, most closely affiliated with with No Limit Records, but he made an appearance on the versus battle between Cash Money and No Limit, and actually that was a standout moment, and that was just maybe a week and a half ago. And for those of you all who don't know anything about who Cash Money Records is and No Limit Records happen to be, they are two record labels that were independent that came from New Orleans in a time when nobody knew what was shaking in New Orleans musically except people in New Orleans pretty much. And then they came and really took over the hip hop industry with their sound, with their beats, with their bounce, with everything. And Master P, who headed up No Limit, he had a knack for producing a lot of musical product that was on shelves. I swear it felt like it was a CD coming out from No Limit every 2 weeks or every week, constantly dropping. And I was buying all of them. And when Young Bleed came out, he kind of came out, I can't really say a surprise because everything was new, but I hadn't heard of him. And he came out with what could be considered a Southern classic. And that song, How You Do That There, when he did that in the versus battle just a couple weeks ago, it was a special moment. And I was like, oh, Young Bleed got it. And he came out with all the energy, came out and did everything. And after the show, he had a brain aneurysm. Wow. A brain aneurysm, for those of you all who don't know, it's when a blood vessel bursts in your brain. And then, actually, I don't know the difference between a brain aneurysm and a stroke. But an aneurysm is when a blood vessel bursts and then you have internal bleeding in your brain. And I don't know the survival rates, but people don't really survive those often. And so, you know, while we mourn Young Bleed and people who have suddenly passed away, I really don't know if it's more sad that he passed away or if it's more of a celebratory thing that he got his flowers, he got his moment right before he passed away. Because for the most part, Young Bleed's music was buried in the late 90s, early 2000s. Nobody had really spoken about him, brought him up in no circles that I had been in. But he lent something wonderful to the music community. So then he comes out, gets his full admiration. People like, oh man, I forgot about that. People start listening to his records again and everything. And then he passed away, but he was present to get that uplifting moment. And I don't know what happened that night to cause that, but damn, he was 51 years old. And peace to Young Bleed Corleone. For those of you all who never heard his record, it's called Balls in My Word. And that's the name of the album. And it's dope. Welcome to episode 83. Sorry for my language, baby. We're going to rock this out, man. Today is a special day. And things happen so quickly on the roller coaster of life. You kind of got to stay steady. You got to be agile enough to move around and, make different type shit happen. But it's really a trip, man. Stuff happens quicker than you're really able to plan for sometimes, So really what you have to do, you got to tune your attitude towards to what's what and to what really works for your survival, for the survival of your sanity, baby. Tonight under this full beaver moon, can you say it with me? Full beaver moon. You're going to have some occurrences and you're going to have some feelings and you're going to have some vibes. The vibey vibes is going to vibe. And something really strange just happened to me that is 100% my business, but it's something I got to deal with tomorrow. But anyway, welcome here to episode 83, and I think I'm right with 83. 80-something. Sorry for my language. I'm your host, Grindstone. And this is sponsored by Grindstone Universal. Go to grindstoneuniversal.com. It's a place where progress is made and where truth is revealed. It's a fashion house. It is an absolute wonder to have on your shoulders. And man, the dope thing, well, several dope things be happening, but there's a popular streamer named Aiden Ross, and he just had a podcast with like all the main podcasting controversial dudes in the podcast world. And one of them's name is Charleston White. And he was wearing a Grindstone jacket, unbeknownst to me. But shout out to him. Because he knows what the F is up. And he was wearing a Grindstone jacket in the interview. And I'm going to call that supremely lit. Because yes, as a man thinketh, a man experienceth. A man experienceth in real time. So, man, I don't know. Sometimes I get on here and I talk about friends, and sometimes I get on here and talk about fake friends, and sometimes I talk about what is the difference between a friend and enemy. Not even a friend and enemy, but a friend and just a casual associate. But I'm going to say this straight as an arrow. If something happens that makes an enemy of my interest upset, then I'm happy. I'm going to say that one more time. If something happens that makes an enemy of my interest unhappy, then I'm happy. You know what I'm saying? So apparently everybody who I would refer to with bad energy, who draws racial lines and, you know, the MAGA folks and their minstrels, apparently they are really they got their heart dropped in their socks today. Because yesterday, across the nation, the Democrats, the Blue Party, whatever you want to call that, they rolled back everything that the President Donald Trump has laid out. Everybody voted against everything that he has done in the past 10 months. They was like, fuck you. We don't like it, and we're going to talk about it in this ballot box. So New York, New Jersey, and California really laid down some law, and what it did, it shifted some seats in Congress that's going to just make it hard for him to be a bully. He's not going to even though he's still the president, he's not going to be able to be the political bully that we've seen. I mean, just like that. I mean, right now they're painting the Kennedy Center another color. You got to notice early onset dementia and debilitative narcissism when you see it. And it's like he's like a child with the keys to the 18-wheeler. And it's going crazy right now. Like, what you painting the Kennedy Center for? What you doing? But he's losing his mind. And this was like really like a gut punch in the 11th round. Doof. I don't know if you can make it to the 12th round, champ. He's hurting. And it's not just him, but it's people who support his ideas and who have nothing but empty cups for their fellow citizens. So shout out to everybody who voted for Prop 50 in California. And whatever y'all did in New York and in New Jersey to make the MAGA hattery, the MAGA sexuals upset, whatever y'all did, shout out to y'all. Goodness gracious. They didn't even want to stop clapping. So, there's a certain thing that where all this comes into play, right? Where people think that a certain amount of popularity gives them power that they can use to, at some point, make permanent. Some people do it, but really I think right now we have too many resources to be fooled for too long. Don't you think? Like, how long you gonna allow yourself to be fooled by something? Now I'm off politics in the traditional sense right now. Now I'm talking about something else. I'm talking about grifters. Do you know that word?
Grift.
Grift. Grift. The grifters. So I don't know when I first heard that word, but I was like, man, what the hell is a grifter? And what is a grift? And what is that? So it's not really a word that I use, but I guess we used to call it like a dangler in Oakland because you was for dangling. But what a grifter is somebody who takes something that is objectively wrong and uses it to get stuff. So some people might project themselves. Some people might call it a charlatan. Some people might. So it's when you project an image of yourself that's fake. This is just one of the several ways, but this is one of the most common ways. When you project an image of yourself that is something that you know it's not, and people who are willing to be objective can see that that's not it. But while it works for that little sliver, you get the trappings of it that it brings. So you're really like a hustler in a way, but it's a hustle based on dishonesty and not on the agreement of the customer that this is true or false. It's the grifter counts on people to be fooled. Did I explain that well? So grifter number one, step up to the plate, boy. Long story short, the Coach Prime era, the Deion Sanders grift has been exposed. Well, what do you mean, Grindstone?
What do you mean?
Well, what I mean is, the same guy who said it must be the money, that's the same guy who y'all thought went to Jackson State to improve the life of young black men. That's the same guy who you thought was actually going to be able to bring the Colorado Buffaloes program up to a standard to produce championships. Coach Prime. I'm going to take Deion Sanders out of this. I'm going to say Coach Prime because Coach Prime is the idol who was created. And for those of y'all Bible thumpers, what's the first commandment? Come on, take your time now. It has something to do with idolatry and idols. But Coach Prime is the idol. Deion Sanders is the person. When you think about Colorado football, I'm pretty positive that even the average college football fan can't name 5 players on the Colorado Buffaloes. But you sure do know Coach Prime, don't you? I know you do. You sure do know somebody who has their name on the paraphernalia sold to the college students. I'm sure you're familiar with a coach who films himself doing everything. I'm sure you know of a coach of young men who, as his nickname is Prime, who had a special on Amazon Prime. Come on. I'm sure even the average college football fans know that this is a grift. He ain't a coach. What are we talking about? Love it, hate it, whatever. He got his money. With the Colorado Buffaloes in their 3rd year, being 3-6. Now understand this. In college football, to get to a bowl game is an accomplishment. To get to the playoffs and win the championships and you're the best college team, that's really the goal. But one of the lower goals that's still has a fair amount of prestige, or at least it legitimizes what you've been doing all year, you get to a bowl game. You have to win at least 6 out of 12 games. So you have to be 500, which in everything else is either failing to average if you're 500, except for swinging a baseball. A baseball bat. A batting average of 500, you go into the Hall of Fame probably while you're still playing. And shout out to Shotei Ohtani and the Los Angeles Dodgers. The irony, right? The LA Dodgers beat the Toronto Blue Jays. The Toronto Blue Jays lost to the LA Dodgers. There's some popular rapper. There's some popular rapper from Toronto. And there's some popular rapper from Los Angeles. And they had a battle recently. And in that same situation, Los Angeles beat Toronto. So, I mean, you talk about catching L's on an off day. Boy, who is Drake going to sue now? But anyway, shout out to the Dodgers. The Dodgers ain't really my team, but I really dig what Shohei Ohtani is all about. How he's just showing a whole nother level of a sport that's been around forever. Shout out. But back to where I was with this grifting brother. The one who went to, let me give you the background on why I even have a feeling about this to speak on it at all, okay? Let me take you to the beginning of time. Let me take you through a little time warp so you can walk down this plank with me. I looked and scrolled through social media. Deion Sanders, I don't know if he still does, but he used to say fairly inspiring things on Instagram. And then I really liked how he was pretty much just appeared to be just like kicking it on his ranch, rebuilding parts of his house, coaching high school football, dadding out. It really seemed like that's what he was about. And then really living the life of a wealthy man with his rich friends, and, got his boo things, in and out the picture every now and then. But he seemed like he was pretty much kicking it. I was like, okay. And then kicking back with perspective on life, he would give you a little blurb that would land sometimes, So I enjoyed watching that, observing that content. It wasn't even too involved, but hey, I'm fishing today. I caught some fish. I'm riding the golf cart with my homeboy. Fuck it. Chilling. Retired looking, I enjoyed that. He got to the point one day, I can't remember what triggered this, but he started talking about HBCU. It was one of the college football drafts where I can't remember what year it was, but he got vocal about the NFL taking 0 players from HBCUs. And then he was saying there's talent at HBCUs. I'm about to prove it. I'm about to show y'all not only is there talent at HBCU in HBCU sports, but that's where some of the best talent is. And I'm going to start coaching to show you that I could bring the best talent from the Power 5 big PWI schools to the HBCUs. So then the HBCUs are where you're going to have to come check for us. That's what he said. That was his mission statement leading into coaching. I'm going to show you that the Power 5, and the thing about this, he filmed himself all the time, so you could look it up, right? He said, I'm paraphrasing, I got 93 acres that I'm sitting on. I could stay here. I don't need the check. I don't need the money. But what I want to do is show these people that we as black people have power and that our black athletes have the ability and they have the right to get the privilege to be drafted at the highest level and considered for the highest levels of this sport. So I am going to start coaching college football and prove it. I'm going to go to HBCU and coach. He said that. That was the mission statement. I was fairly removed from caring at all about football. I didn't care. But I'm watching this and I'm like, he's about to put a dent in the financial infrastructure of the NCAA. He's about to change the recruiting process of the NFL. Now you fooling with different money, different industry. You shifting that, and it's becoming powerful. Okay, so what that will do, that'll bring money to the HBCUs themselves. Now we get into it. The historically black college universities, HBCUs. That's what we doing. Okay, so I went to Hampton University. Yeah, an HBCU. I love the experience. Is the HBCU experience is unlike, there aren't many other types of experiences that you're going to have among strangers, because you start, it's just unique. I'm not even going to go into why and the several reasons why, but it's a very, very fly experience, and everybody comes out that joint feeling like they met family members, and you keep brothers and sisters for life and lovers and all that shit, so the HBCU experience is special. The HBCU campuses do not have the resources all the time that some of the PWI, primarily white institutions, I think that's what PWI stands for. But it's not as much money in the school, so it's great when more money comes there to get better resources. So sports brings resources. Sports brings money. For instance, the Ohio State Buckeyes, the Michigan Wolverines, the Texas Longhorns from the University of Texas. I know their school colors, the city that they're in, and the mascot that they have, and way more than I should know about these universities simply because of their sports. Sports brings recognition. Recognition brings money. Deion Sanders, from his ranch, said that this is what he intended to do to HBCUs for black students, and that's why he was going to do it, because why do all the Power Fives got to have all the fun? That's how he started this coaching mission, for those of y'all who jumping on late. Okay? For those of y'all who decided in 2023 that you were going to become prime sexuals. That's what he said. So he goes to Jackson State. The buzz is up. Jackson State does what it does for a couple years. And I think in his second full year, he got approached by a bigger school, a bigger check, which was the University of Colorado. So you're getting all this attention to this black school. People are transferring their children to this black school because he's made all these fatherly administrative proclamations about how he was there to change lives and change perceptions. And the buzz was real. The buzz was real, right? Advertisers were looking very interested in saying, man, how can we fund this to make it look better? What could we do? It's a big makeover when you're talking about changing like a campus or changing a school or changing a league, right? But the keys were thrown there. His words were gold, and it was totally worth watching the show. So Jackson State was whooping everybody. HBCUs became interesting to everybody, right? And so hopefully HBCUs got a little bit of money from it. But before I go too far into Coach Prime, let's take a moment to shout out the wonderful Mackenzie Scott. Jeff Bezos's ex-wife, Mackenzie is her name. I think like in the past month, something crazy, has given $800 million to HBCUs. That's right, I said it. $800 million to HBCUs. And she didn't even need an Amazon Prime special to talk about it, right? She stroked the check and kept kind of low. But she was like, I'm gonna make a difference. It ain't about me. I'm gonna make a difference. So we really appreciate that. from everybody who stands from a place saying that we don't need it, but we truly appreciate it. We have integrity. We're not going to beg anybody for anything, but we think we do, and we know we do, deserve reparations to fix the damages that have been done on us generationally and culturally. For everybody who is standing with their head held high, going through the motions of doing what we know we're supposed to do and attending universities and knowing that education is actually one of the greatest equalizers of financial disparity. I'm going to speak for all of us and say, Mackenzie Scott, we appreciate you. You didn't make it about you, and you could have. So shout out to you. Something to feel on her booty, too. From the heart. If I was young and rich, I'd marry you, but I'm old and I hate so. That's not a grift. A grift is when you send your kid to a school because somebody said some shit, and then later on, you board a plane before a championship game and go talk to the school that you've accepted more money from and say that the Lord told you to do the shit. That's a grift. You're not who you said you were. You didn't do what you said you do. So I'm back talking about Deion, Coach Prime, right? So Jackson State was whooping on everybody in their league. Like Coach Prime had brought better facilities, some better players than most of the HBCUs have. Like I said, they don't have the resources. And so like the football culture isn't that it's not that fixed. You know, people are students and they play football. A lot of people who go to HBCUs don't even plan on playing in the NFL. They enjoy the game. If they get noticed in the HBCUs leagues, and that's lovely, but usually they just don't have the competitive edge to even get coached up in a way that a lot of other PWIs with the money and with the resources and with the focus on those programs would have. So anyway, Coach Prime is tilting the scales to make it so, okay, Jackson is just blowing people up out the stadium, dogging them, dragging them. So they win the conference. Then they have the championship to play against North Carolina Central in the HBCU League at Jackson. Before the game, like, I'm not sure if it was the week before or a couple days before, he goes to Colorado with his Colorado get up and talks to the Colorado football team with the media on it, talking about how he's going to show up and change the Colorado Buffaloes football program at the University of Colorado. And that's how everybody found out that he was about to leave Jackson. What a joke. People transferred to this school, to Jackson, based on your old promises. He did not even see a full class through. If you think about what it takes to go from freshman to senior, he didn't even see his whole class through. You know, it was no commitment, and it started out as all commitment. That was because that's the right thing to do. It was measured by, this is the right thing to do. Black people need power in these spaces. That's what he said on his freaking ranch. So then Colorado wiggles a check in front of his face, and he takes it. He bites the bait. The city of Boulder, Colorado is not more than 2% black. The school is not more than 2% black. So you go to this white place and then you become Coach Prime. And you say all this slick shit all day and all night about how much you gonna win. Do you believe now? Do you believe? We coming. Do you believe? Oh, I'm going to invite every rapper. I need everybody on the sidelines. I need all the hype. I need all the sizzle. I need all the drizzlings, right? That's what it was. We all saw, right? Right. First year, what does he do? Goes 4-8. People gave him credit because 4 wins is more than the previous year when they had 1 win. But you still were at the bottom of the conference. He came in there talking about, we don't have to wait long to change. People wait for things to change. I'm changing stuff now. And I'm bringing my Louis luggage with me. I'm changing it up now. So you had every goofy on the sideline really bought in. You had people flying out there to go sit in Colorado and watch a Colorado Buffaloes game because they thought he really was a coach. He ain't a coach. He's a hype man with a whistle. And I was saying, this is the whole problem I have. Number one, he left the black HBCUs and proved that he was really just in this thing for himself. And part of himself is to push his son through to the league. I need my son to have the best marketing. I I'll make sure my son gets the best marketing. Which to me, but this is totally subjective, but it's kind of like admittance that your son would not have made it without that. But maybe he would have. What do I know? So you do all this barking and bragging just to come in last, right? Now, mind you, Colorado is, to just be light, they're not in the most competitive conference. They don't have the most competitive schedule. So when you think of college football, they're not playing the big dogs. They're not playing the schools that have a lot of people going to the NFL. So you're already playing like lower grades of competition. And then you bring in all these Hall of Fame ex-football players on the coaching staff and think you got a coaching staff, think you got a culture. Now you got a DJ in the practice field, DJ in the locker room. It's a big freaking prime show. The people who you are supposed to be there for are the young, impressionable athletes who are really weighing their future. It's either the NFL or this is last chance you for them. And you put yourself in front. You put yourself in front and you make all these media promises. Oh, I'm about to get comfortable now. I'm about to do this now. Bruh, you can't coach. But they cut you a nice, solid check. Oh, then you got the sunglass thing. You got the merch thing going. You're getting your money. You're getting your proper check on. But wait, this isn't why you're here. Remember, you got 93 acres. So you're getting all this bread, and I'm not a paper hater at all. But you forgot what the mission statement was when you was on that boat. You're not leading people. All the media is about you. Why is it about you? Because you film yourself. You got your buddies in the media, right? You got your Shannon Sharp and your Ocho Cinco and your Stephen A. Smith in the media. Oh, they talk about you when you average. They talk sweet. Like it's all good. 4-8. Well, that's 4 more wins. That's 3 more wins they got last year. Oh man, they great. Man, they went 9-3 and lost a bowl game in the previous year, which makes them 9-4. Every time they played a team that had any kind of ranking, any type of ability, they got washed. Outcoached, obviously, outplayed. They got washed. But somehow the media would always find a way to say, well, you know, they coming, we coming. They would always do that, right? Well, next thing you know, this past week they got beat something wild like 52-17. And then before that, they got beat 53-7. They're standing at 3-6 right now. If somebody rolls up their sleeves and puts 50 on you in football, you got problems. The team is in shambles. It's obvious to see that they don't know what to do with the personnel as they're coaching. Like you look at that and you be like, man, I don't know what's going. Like They don't know how to manage the clock. They don't know. It's a lot of basics going on with the team. Now, mind you, you got Hall of Fame coaches who have never coached before. But you got all the stuff. You got the DJ. You said you could sit back and people going to come back and it don't take a long time to build something. And you're saying all this and there's nothing there. The problem that I have with this whole thing is how black people got grifted. He got in there. He's talking about I'm going to have these kids be able to take care of their mama. And I'm going to have these people be able to take care of their friends and take care of themselves and growing to good men. And I'm going to make sure that they're all treated right and protected. And you came with no plan outside of materialism and media buddies. That's all. How many diamond chains are on the sideline? How nice is the locker room and the DJ set? How many interviews do I get? How much does that watch cost that my son wears? It was all materialism, no substance sandwich. A big old nothing burger. And that's not how you build up young men. And it was totally unfair to every young man who showed up thinking that he was really about to learn football and learn how to build something of himself. I always say, when teaching somebody, people do as you do, not as you say. And for the people who wanted to learn from what Dion did or who did learn, they learned how to step in front of everything and make it about you. That's what they learned. They didn't learn how to congeal as a team. Mind you, when he was a coach at Jackson State, they got beat by North Carolina Central. Look how the media works. Anybody answer. What color is North Carolina Central's uniforms? What's North Carolina Central's coach's name? Name one player on that North Carolina Central team. They got whooped by BYU in the Alamo Bowl. They got beat by BYU. What's that coach's name? What's that quarterback's name? They got whooped by a lot of teams. We don't know none of these people's names. And that's how him and his media buddies allowed the grift to happen. Remember what the definition of grift is. It's when something is objectively wrong, but somebody uses that while you're fooled long enough to get something from it. He is obviously not a winning coach with the experience to even back it. He has the experience as a player, and he was one of the best players of all time. But player and coach are so much different. Come on, stop it. It's like being a kid. The difference between player and coach is the same difference between being a kid and a parent. Same thing between being a kid and a parent. And just because you were a kid, being a kid, saying that you could be a parent because you were once a kid is the same mistake that a player would make saying that they could be a coach just because they used to be a player. That's taking so much credit away from the art and the skill of coaching and the experience of coaches who have been successful. And why did black people buy into that? Because he said the Lord called him in. That's thing number one. What's the other thing to do? He started talking about how you're going to take care of mama. Call daddy. So if it ain't nothing else that black people going to go for, black people going to go for taking care of mama and taking care of daddy. And then most black people going to go for something if you say God called you. Only thing he didn't throw in there was ribs. But everything else, he threw celebrity in there. He threw jewelry in there. He threw everything in the pot except substance and what it takes to grow people. He had all the little slick sayings, no freaking substance. And you know what? The fruit shows what the tree is. They're bearing losing fruit. And for those of you all who have taken notice, it ain't nothing there about to turn that around. So what we have watched in real time, we've watched Coach Prime be to NCAA coaching what Jake Paul is to the sport of boxing? A marketing tool, a payday. But that junk ain't real. If you a kid out here boxing, don't get out there and do a Jake Paul. Nah, that ain't how you get it. That ain't even how you box. You know? Come on. So I think it was a real disgrace to football, which I couldn't care less about. But how you forgot who brought you to the dance, coach. You forgot. It was the black school that invited you to the dance when nobody else would touch you as a coach. And as soon as the white school looked at you, you left at the middle of the night before the championship game, before the prom. You left and talked about all these magical things you would do for them. And oh, what a grift it was. And there's a lesson in there for everybody. When people be about that bullshit, even if it's going to be unpopular, to bring it to the forefront, bring it to the forefront anyway. Put it on the table for convo. If you a hater, you a hater. That ain't hating. It ain't hating if somebody's lying. Now, if the proof was in the pudding and they were winning and he lived up to all them words, that season that they had last year, 9-3, that was a decent season. But you got to the damn Alamo Bowl, okay? Nothing's wrong with the Alamo Bowl, but it's not one of them ones. And then you lost. You got super spanked. The score didn't indicate how much the spanking was. By BYU. BYU's not even one of them teams. So, I mean, is that where you hang your hat? With all the magic of saying, I'm going to change everything now. You believe? We coming. I'm about to get comfortable. We changing everything now. Come on, man. The people got lied to. And to be honest, celebrity has had its turn. Celebrityism, right? I mean, just think about the midnight, overnight successes in the music industry. You'd be like, man, that person ain't really that. You know, she gonna get thrown under the bus at this very moment. But think about Ice Spice. Right? All y'all who went wild over Ice Spice. No, she could really rap. She really be flowing. She really. I mean, now, don't that have industry plant all over it? Come on. Isn't that industry plant-esque? Don't you see the trick they got played on you? And then a lot of you are willing to put your musical integrity on backing that, saying that you kind of saw the musical skill there. Come on, man. I could go on and on about the fake ones in music and some of the actors and actresses who can't act. Like the politicians, all these people get pushed to the front, but we don't have time for that. The list is long. Now, I've said all this, and personally, as a man, I don't have anything against Deion Sanders because I don't know him. But I don't fuck with Coach Prime. That shit is grift material. It's a persona that is fake and disingenuous at the hands of black people who ended up shelling out a lot of money to a white-owned institution and industry. And so he was an agent in that. He was an agent in getting black dollars to white hands. That's all the fuck that happened. That was the Coach Prime experiment. To make a long story short, the Coach Prime doll was created to bring money from black hands to white hands, black ownership to white ownership. That's what that was. That was not a sports move, even though he got Sportsman of the Year, right? So it just shows you how everything be in cahoots. Sportsman of the Year for what? Retired jerseys for what? It's all a game. And sometimes it's fucked up to figure out everything is a game, but it is. Games are being played and we don't even realize it. So, I usually don't talk about celebrity dish, yesterday's fish, pop culture, but I had to. Thank you for this episode. You tuning in to Sorry for My Language. Go to grindstoneuniversal.com. Pick up that fancy. You know? Peace to the real. Death to the fake. Let's go wide.
I'm smoking, looking at the monument, admiring how high you sit. Wonder why we don't see eye to eye. Sometimes our